Have you thought about what the last meal that you want to experience is? As the owner of a luxury personal care home where daily we're taking care of people who are in their final days, it's a question that I've visited quite a few times. And I believe that when our moments are few, we should make them our best. One of my favorite examples of this is sweet Grandma Margie, who one night I dished up the last little bit of banana pudding to her. And as she dug her spoon into the bowl and put it in her mouth, she pulled it out clean and closed her eyes and uttered, oh my God, I'm gonna have to get a job here. Now, when Margie first moved into our home, she was only expected to live another month, actually, 2 at the most. Due to her disease, she'd begun shutting down in the facility that she was in, and her family was looking for a safe place for her to spend her final couple of days. However, they failed to take into account the magic of my banana pudding and how adding pleasure back to life can bring back a life worth living. Instead of 1 month, Margie lived 2 joyful, playful years with us. Rescuing Margie and people like her from an existence of waiting in a facility to die has infused my life with purpose, as I get to share in the joy of creating the best possible last days. For many of us, until COVID pulled back the curtain on what was happening in our senior care facilities, unless you were actively visiting them, you were probably unaware of how that culture can create a cycle of despair, decay, and death. I'll never forget, as COVID swept the country, the images of the news footage that were coming out. For me, it was the first images of the window visits that yanked me from the complacency of my life. An elderly woman, her face frozen in a sob, hand pressed against the window of her room. And on the other side of that pain was her family, tears streaming down their cheeks and soaking into their masks. And behind them, the refrigerated trucks that were waiting to take away the day's casualties. That image lives in my mind, and I knew that if that were me, I would not be okay with that as my final days on this planet, being separated from my family. And I got home that night and I told my husband, we have got to find a better way. We've got to create a way, because I saw that false dichotomy, the forced choice between safety and connection. We've got to find a way where we can have both. And so I began the journey to create the kind of care that I want to have. And for me, it's not just about a big house in a beautiful neighborhood. It's about creating a home for everybody who walks through that front door. I am the main caregiver, and I live in that home with my husband, my 3 teenage children, their pets, and 3 beautiful souls that become family to us. See, we're not merely like a family. We actually are a family. And we're not like a home. We are a home. And that authenticity I found is what people are desperately searching for. Margie was just the first of over 20 beautiful souls, and there are hundreds of family members that I've had the honor of serving in my home. And on my journey to obtain my license for my facility, my legally unlicensed home quickly filled to capacity, as did my waiting list with people who were wanting to escape the facilities. See, often the first people who will tell you that they would never place their loved ones, let alone themselves, into a nursing home are the people who work in them, which to me is a huge indication of a profound breakdown in our systems. And as I listened to assisted living horror stories, I began to understand that when compliance with policy is held in higher esteem than the very reasonable requests of the people that we claim to serve, then we're not actually serving those people. For example, in Texas, full bed rails were made illegal due to the illusion of safety they created and the neglect of the seniors who were in them. Half bed rails, however, were still legal because they allow for enough mobility for somebody to wiggle between them and get up out of the bed, which was exactly what Margie did. she wiggled, stood, and fell, forgetting that she was unable to walk without assistance anymore. Her story became bruises, contusions, broken bones, knocked out teeth, and the accompanying disgusting puree diet, and a life relegated to a chair next to the nurse's station that kept her immobile because that was safe. Her family begged the facility for the full bed rails, which legally they couldn't give. However, I discovered my position as an unlicensed home allowed me the freedom to say yes to those full bed rails, and Margie never fell again. So licensing meant that I was going to get to be in compliance and provide subpar care. Licensing meant that if the state said we're limiting visitors, the family got to stay away. Licensing meant my kids couldn't live in our home anymore. Licensing meant that I got to limit access to my kitchen. No more fingers in the cookie dough bowl. No more freedom to just go out for tacos if we wanted to one night. Licensing meant that my new employee, Mama, could no longer bring her nursing baby to work with her. And the closer I got to my license, the more I asked myself, is this really the best choice for my family? Or for my residents and their families? Or my employees and their families? See, each state establishes its own licensing standards, and in some states, an unlicensed model like mine isn't a legal option. But I would say one of the biggest differences between my home and a licensed facility is found in the ratios. What the recommended ratios are is 1 staff for every 8 residents. And that staff doesn't necessarily need to be caregiving. It could be administrative, it could be janitorial. But that leaves the caregivers stretched thin. That leads to caregiver burnout and high turnover rates in the facilities. In my home, the largest ratio that you'll ever see is 1 to 3. Often it's 3 to 3, or as many as 6 caregivers to my 3 residents when my kids are working. And yes, my kids do work in my home. They have age-appropriate paid tasks that support the home in running smoothly. They will set the table, and they'll put juice glasses, and they'll do the silverware. They'll mop up the floors, or sit on the couch and have movie night with my residents. Their favorite activity, though, is gourmet cooking. Every contribution to our home allows me a greater space to provide concierge care for my residents. A study out of Stanford shows that in a multi-generational shared site that keeps senior care and child care under the same roof provides an opportunity for both generations to thrive. It is a great honor for me to pay my children for the support that they offer me in my home. It allows them a space to build their future in a space of service to humanity. And it's a legacy that I am so excited to build with them. That legacy, it's not exclusive to my kids. It extends to their friends and my employees and their families as well. It is so wonderful to be able to offer a new or a single mama childcare options in my home. My residents love bringing a new young life into the already bustling energy of our home. See, family-based care models, this is not a new idea. In fact, we've taken care of our seniors in our homes for thousands of years. It's only recently that we've relegated them to sanatoriums, community-based care assignments, and our current paradigm, which is assisted living and nursing homes. But it's been argued that too often institutionalized care will prioritize efficiency and extreme caution over the individuals and their personal fulfillment. But one of the most fulfilling things that I get to do on a day-to-day basis is say yes to as much as possible. Can I have a shot of vodka before bed tonight? Yes. How about nap time on the front porch? Absolutely. Hey, you want to put a top down and go for a drive, grab a milkshake? I am so glad you asked. When Margie wanted to get up out of that bed and walk, we walked. Saying yes and fulfilling the desires of the people who live in my home gives them ownership back of their lives. It staves off depression and hopelessness. And in my experience, that can also drive away any aggression or combativeness that could be associated with dementia or Alzheimer's. Filling their lives with family and love and purpose and connection and friendship makes my home a place that is full of life, not a place to wait to die. I believe family-based care homes provide the best opportunity for seniors and their families, as well as caregivers and their families, to take care of each other in a way that honors everybody. I don't want a facility to be the only option when it's my turn for care. I want my home, and I want my family. And if for some reason my family is unable to care for me, I want a home, and I want a family. Because I want the whole beautiful, messy thing. I want the chubby babies and the mischievous toddlers, the school kids who are picking up new things to show off every day. I want the awkward preteens and the moody teenagers who are looking for their place in this world. The adult children, the grandbabies. I want the parade of humanity in my living room every day, reminding me of the glorious life that I've built and my beautiful family. I want my final days to be filled with love, honor, integrity, and family, and really good banana pudding. So here's the hard part. Rethinking your end of life with the courage to confront your mortality now so that you can build your life to the final breath. If we stick our head in the sand, we risk burdening our children with the responsibilities of our care and our decisions for end-of-life choices, rather than empowering them to release us with love and connection. We risk languishing in a sterile, lonely facility, rather than leaving this world in the warm embrace of a home. Summon your courage and think about your death. And then go find a place that you want to live. Hear me, to live. Go visit a facility, take your family, take a plate of cookies, take a book to share. Bring a little humanity back into a place that could very well be a lonely existence for some. And while you're there, imagine yourself in this location as a resident and ask yourself, am I okay with this as my future? Notice the smells and the people, the activity. Look at the menu. When you look at that menu, can you see yourself enjoying their menu as your final meal? And if your perfect doesn't exist yet, go create it. And I would encourage you in this. If you see a family-based care home in your future, here's your challenge. This is not about creating a care model that flies under the radar so that you can break all the rules. This is about creating a level of care that will rise up and soar above every licensing standard that exists out there. This is about creating wins for seniors, wins for caregivers, wins for families. There is nobody who should lose in this game. Find the people, find your people who are committed to excellence in senior care, and lock arms with us so that we can march into the future with courage to create a space that everyone is loved and cared for well to their final breath. I'll leave you with one last thought from Abraham Lincoln. In the end, it is not the years in our life that matter. It is the life in our years.